My name is Mark Samuel, author of Be State, creating a breakthrough state of being in your business and in your personal life. And I'm very encouraged by how people are dealing with the coronavirus in multiple work environments. And it's been great to see the consultants that have provided tips for free and webinars for free, and the companies that are giving their advice, as well as the media that gives their tips. But there's one particular situation that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet, and that is the split workforce. That is where half of your workforce, or a good part of your workforce, is working remotely, while the other part of your workforce is still having to work in close proximity with one another at a plant, on a vessel, in a warehouse. Like, these are situations that create a dichotomy in the culture that sometimes can create its own challenges. And that's what I'd like to address today on the topic of how do you go from separation to becoming a unified workforce during the COVID-19 situation. So let's break this down by understanding the elements that are at play and the emotions that are at play just based on our being human in this kind of situation. And for that, I'm going to share my screen to guide us through this process step by step. The first step is really understanding what are the challenges and common frustrations of that split workforce. So for the people that are stuck at home, well, you know what I'm talking about here. It's feeling cooped up with cabin fever. It's trying to manage your children, your work, and having no privacy at the same time. All those conditions become challenging. And especially for those of you with children that are of school age, there's homeschooling, there's trying to provide recess opportunities, even though it's hard for people to go outside and keeping social distance. And it's your overactive children, which really doesn't mean that they're overactive. It just means that they're normal kids with lots of energy, needing a place to express it, and now they're all at home in a cooped up space. Being home alone, if you don't have children, is also a challenge, especially for extroverts, because now all of a sudden we don't have a social life. We can't have social contact. Where do you get the hug? Where do you get the demonstration of caring that comes, and the energy you get from being with other people? That now is no longer available. So yeah, you've got two different kinds of challenges, those with children and spouses at home, those that are home alone. And some of you are home alone with your children, so you don't have another spouse or partner to lean on during these difficult times. And then there's, how do we service the plant or the warehouse or the vessel? Those people that are still working in a warehouse or workplace situation, we're there to try and support them, and yet we're remote. We're not with them. Now, let's look at it from the standpoint of those that are in the plant or in the warehouse. Their biggest fear right now is getting COVID-19. It certainly hasn't stopped spreading, and you're now working in situations where you may not be able to have complete social distancing, or you've got to be able to work longer hours, because many organizations are implementing 12-hour days or even longer. And now all of a sudden you've got to cleanse your workstation, you've got to coordinate between people that are remote and people that are there, and yet you can't be in the same room at the same time. So now, even though you're all at the same plant, you still have remote meetings, virtual meetings rather, and you've got this whole added workload, not only from getting your work done, but from all the procedures and things that you need to do now differently than before, just to keep your work environment clean, safe for everybody. In some organizations, we're seeing long lines because the organization is making sure no one is sick by taking people's temperature before they enter the workplace. especially when you're going to be entering the workplace for long hours in, again, close proximity with others. And of course, you have to depend on the support you get from the people that are not at work, that are remote. And you may catch them at a time when they're doing homeschooling, or you may catch them at a time when they're taking a break and they're not available. So you still depend on them, and you depend on their timeliness, and you depend on their responsiveness. And these are all the factors that can create challenge and frustration. So now, let's look at it together. And what you can see is there's no shortage of disruption to our lives, whether you're stuck at home or stuck at work, in dealing with this situation. And the problem is, it's not hard to look at things from the grass is greener on the other side. If I'm stuck at home, boy, I wish I was working amongst other people at a plant or a warehouse or whatever I would normally be doing. If you're in those plants and warehouses, it's not uncommon to think, boy, the people at home really have it easy. They have more breaks. They have more time for themselves. And it's easy to start to set up a bit of a situation where there's conflict between the two groups. So what are these common reactions to feeling stuck? First, it's frustration, annoyance, dissatisfaction. Sometimes that can lead to even conditions of discouragement, hopelessness. Sometimes for many of us, it's the fear that it will never end, or of getting sick. Like, am I going to be home forever? Or the longer that we are in these conditions, if I'm working at a plant or a warehouse, do I have a greater and greater chance of getting sick and exposing myself? There's simply the issue of becoming tired, exasperated, discouraged. I mean, it's really challenging whether you're working in a plant and working long hours in difficult situations, or you're working at home and either by yourself or dealing with children and partners and things of that nature. It's tiring process either way. And again, like we were saying at the beginning of this section, it's not hard to believe that others have it better than you, or vice versa, regardless of what your situation is. And that's where we can get into trouble. Because as soon as we start to act on our belief that others have it better, then we build, forms of resentment. We end up in a blame game. We sometimes can feel guilty about the other people that are having to work so hard, or the people that are stuck at home. Sometimes we can become short-tempered. And the most critical thing that I'm finding is our susceptibility to rumors or gossip increases. We're having more conversations with people that are like us in the similar situation that we're in. So us talking about how difficult it is and comparing ourselves to the people in the plant, or people in the plant talking about how difficult our situation is and wishing that we can get home, all contributes to an environment of blame, of resentment, of guilt, and all the frustrations being taken out on each other, because it's really hard to express it when we're locked into our stuck place, whether at work or whether at home. So we've got to find a way to get through this. We've got to find a way in this difficult time to recognize that we're all dealing with difficulties. Now, how do we become a better support and become more unified to get through it together? So how do you turn this stuck place into a place of peace and joy as much as possible? No, we're not talking about, big celebrations and trying to be happy-go-lucky or any of that. We're just trying to say, how do I create a little more peace and a little more joy in the situation that I'm in? And how do we make it so that we contribute to a positive environment as possible during this challenging time? So the first thing is, you got to take care of yourself so you're in a position of strength to take care of others. And this can be challenging, but it can be done. And the first thing is mindfulness, just taking a few moments of silence, a few focusing on your breath, really getting centered inside yourself and getting very present with now, not, not predicting the future, not worrying about the future, not trying to think about other people, but right now just thinking, I'm okay right where I am. For some of you, it's going to be about prayer and maybe doing a little bit more of your spiritual practice. Sometimes that's, reading an inspiring book or message. For some of other people, it's going to be meditating. So there's a lot of different ways to bring prayer into your life, but now could be a time that would fit for you. Maintaining physical movement in your day, throughout your day. So if you are stuck at home, how do you keep moving? How do you keep exercising, stretching, doing those things that even though you're contained, keep your body, limber and moving and energized. At the same time, it's really important to get enough rest. As much as you can do, how do you ensure that you get good sleep, good rest, regardless of what your situation is? And of course, turning your attention away from negative media, whether that's online, whether that's, cable TV, it really doesn't matter. There's only so much negativity that we want to take in. Yes, we want to be informed. We want to know the latest, but we don't have to invest hours of time listening to everybody's opinion and the disaster doomsday people or the blame people or whatever that we can see on the internet or on TV just doesn't support us. And is there anything we can do to create a little fun? It's like, how do we have fun being at home? How do we either start a puzzle, play a game? What can we do that allows us to, put on some comedy or listen to, tapes that are uplifting, anything that can make our environment a little bit more fun and less serious during these serious times. And of course, the last thing, which I think is in some ways the most important that I'm working on as much as I can, is how do I have gratitude for the situation that I'm in? Because there are other people that have it worse than you. So let's do the things we can to appreciate what we've got, not focusing on what we don't have, and really doing the best we can in the situation that we're in. Now, the next thing we can do is be of service to others. Like, is there a way that we can make life easier for others? Like, if I'm working in the plant, is there something I can do to be an encouraging, positive message, or thought to someone that's stuck at home? Or if I'm stuck at home, is there anything I can do that would be, positive and inspiring for someone that's stuck at work? If there's somebody that is in a challenging situation, how do we reach out to them? Because some people, you may be stuck at home with your partner and with your kids, but maybe someone's stuck at home with nobody. Is there a way that you can reach out to them? Give them a friendly call. And of course, that leads us right into reaching out to others, which it could be a call, it could be writing someone, texting someone to check on them, to be a kind ear to hear how they are doing, and to demonstrate compassion and empathy and a hopefulness when they may be losing that hopefulness in their current situation. And one of the most important things at this time, and I'm seeing some organizations do it better than others, but this is truly a time to be acknowledging each other, giving positive reinforcements to your teammates, to family members, to friends, to coworkers. There is no time better than now to hear encouragement from others, and we need to be the ones that give it as much as possible, truly acknowledging people for what they're doing, the efforts they're putting into whatever their situation is, and really letting people know that they are doing the best they can in the situation that we're all facing. And finally, what can we do to spread fun and positive humor? I've been really fortunate to have friends and associates of mine send me emails with little funny stories, I love the one that's been going around with the family who made up a song that changed the words to a song all about living with COVID-19. It's hysterical and it's beautiful at the same time. We've seen musicians get together from all over the world putting together a song. And again, it's very uplifting. Sometimes I'm seeing little short, jokes about being in COVID-19 or little skits about it and uplifting stories about it. Any of these things that we can do, self-care, service to others, reaching out to others, acknowledging each other, and spreading fun and positive humor can help us to get unstuck in our current situation. So here's some things that you might be able to do to take this forward for yourself. And I'm put on here, choose one to benefit yourself and others. Don't try and do it all. If you can do more, do great. That's great. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Just do one thing that helps move you and move others into a more positive space, creating a unified environment where we're all being mutually supportive of each other. So what's the first thing? What's the first question? What are you grateful for during the COVID-19 situation? For some people, we've been asking for more time alone, or for some of us, we've been saying, well, I want to change up my work hours so that I have, more hours, fewer days, and more days off. What circumstances could be worse than how you have it today? So in other words, think about other people for a moment. Like I know somebody who is just moved in just before the COVID-19 situation showed up, was moved into assisted living where their spouse died just a few months ago, and now they've been uprooted, put into assisted living because they can't live on their own, but now they're stuck in this building with only one room that they can go into. They can't socialize with anybody else. They've literally got a very small room to be stuck in with no personal interaction except the nurses that come visiting every once in a while. They can't even have their family come visit them. So everything is in lockdown. Now that's much worse than the situation I'm in, where at least I have my spouse with me, my partner with me, and we can get through it together, or even someone who's living alone, but at least can go out to do shopping. They can go out to get food, take out. The person that's stuck in assisted living, they are truly stuck. So let's be grateful for our situation. Even though people might have it better than you, there's a lot of people that may have it worse than you. What happens if somebody is stuck in this situation and they have a loved one that's in the hospital? They can't even go visit that person. That is a terrible situation. Let's be grateful for ours. Who can you reach out to share appreciation, understanding of their situation, or just check in with them as a caring friend? And yeah, it may be a coworker, maybe a family member. It really doesn't matter who they are. Can we be a friend to those that are, stuck in whatever situation they're in, so we can demonstrate appreciation, understanding, or just simply caring and support? What support can you provide yourself or others within or outside of your environment? Are you the one who's the encouraging voice? Are you the one that's positive when everybody else is spreading negativity? Can you be that one that is uplifting? And of course, you have to start with yourself. It's like, how do you get centered? How do you stay calm? How do you stay as positive as possible so that when you're with others, you can be as positive and influence as possible during these difficult times? And finally, how is this situation a benefit to your growth, to gaining strength, being more adaptable, experiencing more gratitude for what you have, or improving your self-care? Personally, that's what I'm finding. While I don't like being cooped up, I'm looking at the situation saying, how's this a benefit for me? How can I spend a little bit more quiet time journaling, in my spiritual practice, doing things for my personal growth? And I'm also looking at this as, this is a time for me to strengthen my ability to adapt to change, because unless I was forced to do it, I wouldn't do it. And so there are things that I wasn't willing to do before that I'm starting to do now, like exercising and stretching every day, because I don't have a reason not to. Like, this is the time to really, hunker down in this stuck situation and use it to my advancement as much as possible. And I'm also more grateful now than I've ever been, like spending every day writing down at night before I go to bed, what am I grateful for and how this day went? And it may not have been perfect. It may not have been the best day ever, but I'm really grateful for getting through it. I'm very grateful that I haven't contracted any illness. I'm really grateful for the people that are demonstrating caring around me. I'm really in a place of appreciation for how good I have it compared to others. Now, again, you don't have to do all four of these. Just pick one. See what it does. See how it uplifts you. See how it inspires you. See if that doesn't also help the people around you and the people who are stuck in either the workplace situation or the people stuck at home. This is a time to really have us all get together and support each other through this change. Now, I'd like to leave you with a couple of quotes. You cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can always control what you will feel and do about what happens to you, by Viktor Frankl, who really was a famous Holocaust survivor who really learned how to make those choices in difficult situations to take control of his own inner reaction to being cooped up in a way that's truly even worse than COVID-19. And no matter how good or bad you have it, wake up each day thankful for your life. Someone somewhere else is desperately fighting for theirs, by John Spence. So, in summary, this is a time for us not to exert our anger, frustration, resentments, difficulties on other people. This is a time for us to gain greater acceptance, greater forgiveness, greater peace for the situation that we're in. There's not much that we can do about it. So how do we make it the best possible? How do we help those that are in a difficult situation, especially our co-workers who might be split into a different kind of challenge right now? This is a time for us all to come together in unity, in support, in greater loving and care for each other. I hope this is helpful. If it is, please pass it along. If you're interested in understanding more about how do I create that state of breakthrough being that is beneficial to my business, beneficial to my home, please go to bstate.com, check out the B-State book, and I will talk with you soon.